Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of Team Ultraviolette. If I can have your attention to the screen, your mobile phones on silent, please do enjoy the next 45 minutes or so.
We had a dream. A dream that turned into a vision. A vision of accelerating the future of mobility. A future that became the present with India's most advanced electric motorcycle and Asia's largest battery pack. That evolved a full generation in just 12 months. And unlocked touring for the squadron. That is now 28 cities strong. We've grown, but our spirit is that of the underdog. A spirit that takes Indian engineering to the world. Because why look elsewhere? It's time for India to take pole position in building the fastest Indian. We didn't just step up, we fast-forwarded the entire industry into believing we could be the best in the world. But we're only getting started. The only question is, what next?
And may we please welcome on stage the CEO of Ultraviolette Automotive, Narayan Subramaniam.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm super excited to be here. We've got something insane in the works. But oh boy, what a ballistic year 2024 has been. September 2024, we were in one city in Bangalore. And September 2025, we are now closing in on 30 cities across India. It's been a phenomenal growth for us. We took it easy, got our systems, back-end, supply chain, production, all of it in place before we began scale up. So going from one city to 30 cities in 1 year, and the fact that we've gone from India to Nepal to 10 countries across Europe has been a phenomenal case of validation of India building technology that is compelling in global markets. And I think, if anything, this is just a spark of what could lie in store, not just for Ultraviolette, but for the entire mobility ecosystem. All right, so that's me talking as a founder. Now I'm going to switch to a motorcyclist, right, and get to the core of what we have today. We're going to be taking Ultraviolette and the motorcycling industry a fair way into the future. We're going to be taking India into the future, right? And India, for us, motorcyclists, is a land of duality. I think a majority of us in the room here enjoy riding across varied types of terrain, let me take you on what some of these look like. All of us romance about those spectacular rides by the coastlines of India, but we also need to deal with the situations in monsoon, right? We all love to go on those weekend adventure trails outside our cities, but we got to combat the city traffic to get to that. And for all of us, this is a very much reality. And how many of us have dreamt of doing those late night speedy drives down the freeway? But you got to keep an eye out for a lot of the obstacle courses that lie in between. So this is what I mean by duality of motorcyclists in India. And for every one of us riders out there, we encounter highways, freeways, we encounter crowded city traffic conditions and variances from weather, climate, and whatnot. And the remarkable part is, in a 30 to 40 minute ride, more likely than not to encounter all of these terrains. Right? And that's what makes the challenge for us super unique. So my question here is, as of date, what does the industry have to offer? So this led us back to looking at motorcycle segments, classifications, etc. And today, across the industry, predominantly on the IC world, we've got well-defined categories. We've got sports motorcycles, we've got street motorcycles, roadsters, cruisers, and we've got hybrids of some of these segments as well. These are purpose-built machines that are built for one purpose, and they do that one thing wonderfully well, right? But the question that we were asking ourselves when we started on this product, on the design of this product was, do these constructs or labels hold true anymore, right? A lot of these are predominantly labels, segments, defined not in India, but for most parts in the West, where you tend to own multiple motorcycles as well. You could own a super sport machine for the track on the weekend. You could own a dirt bike that you go cross-country riding with, and you could own a street bike. But if you think about what we want or where the world is headed here, the question is it one motorcycle that can do a lot of these, or is it many motorcycles that do many unique things? And I think we know the answer is pretty clear. And so 20th century labels in a 21st century world. And is this still as relevant as it probably was even a decade back? And if you ask us, I think at Ultraviolette, it's time for us to say, let's unsubscribe to the construct of labels. So today, let me get to what segment we're unlocking. This is the crossover from Ultraviolette. And what do I mean by crossover for us motorcyclists? It means 60-70% of our times spent combating the urban constraints and riding conditions, and a good 30-40% of our time spent on those wild weekend rides as well, which means your machines have to be smart, have to be capable, have to be extra capable than the previous era of motorcycles, which means whatever you are able to, whatever very terrains you're putting the machines through, you are not going to be left wanting for anything on the motorcycles, right? So with this, let me introduce what we've got in store today, the X47 crossover.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Hey, think you can tell us what to do? You think you can tell us what to wear? You think that you're better? Well, you better get ready. Bow to the masters. Bring it down. Degenerate into something fool. We just got tired of doing what you told us to do. That's a breaks, boy. Yeah, that's a breaks, little man. Break it down. Degeneration up. Degeneration. Think you can tell me what to do? Know who you're talking to? But you better get used to the way the ball bounce. I see what you got, it measures in ounces. But that's a breaks, boy. Yeah, that's a breaks, little man. Break it down. Degeneration up. Degeneration. Think you're a big man? Treat you like you're a little man. Yeah. Break it down. Don't tell me what it's like to be half a man. It must break your heart to see what I am, but that's a breaks, boy. Yeah, that's a breaks, little man. Break it down. Degeneration up. Degeneration. Think you can tell me what to do? Know who you're talking to? Just stop wanting me to be someone else. Put it away like a book on a shelf that you can read, boy. Yeah, that you can read, little man.
May I request Narayan and Neeraj to join the X47 crossover on the stage right now. And this is the cue, ladies and gentlemen, for putting your hands together for the X47 crossover.
All right, there you have it, the X47 crossover. We're going to get into details of what has gone into this machine. There is so much that we put in terms of design, attention to detail, performance, technology, and safety. Going to come to that. But before that, let's talk about another important aspect, the man on the machine. Who are we today, right? Like we spoke about labels on motorcycles. We have multiple labels for motorcyclists as well. Are we the enthusiast who spends a lot of time in the garage, tinkering with our bikes, accessorize the motorcycles, repair a lot of DIY? This is some of us. Are we the explorers who live through the year to get that adrenaline going for those 20 days when we go cross-country riding? Or are we the thrill seekers? Speed, adrenaline gushing through our veins. Or are we also everyday riders? Predominantly spend a lot of our time across city riding conditions, but we also want that element of thrill and fun in our motorcycles. And we've got a new category that we've seen emerging. Are we all technology-obsessed folks who want the latest gadgets and tech on the machines that we use? We've seen a lot of this now come into the four-wheeler industry. We have the car industry now getting a lot of features that are, turning the driving experience into a seamless, connected experience. And I think we've done a fair bit of that on the S77. The question here is how much further could we push that technology intent? Now we've got multiple personalities The question to ask again is, are we all uniquely, is it possible for us to be uniquely packaged and labeled? I think the reality today is that we are an amalgamation or collage of multiple of these use cases and requirements from our motorcycle and riding habits. So that is essentially what has gone into designing, or the thought process behind designing the X47. So when we get to design, we of course start with pen on paper, but I think all of you are already aware of the trademark aviation DNA going into everything we do at Ultraviolette. So what you see behind me is the exact same design language and design intent that went into sculpting and crafting the F-77, and that has now gone into the X-47. And now, if you look at the aircraft behind, those are forward-swept wings. Aircraft enthusiasts out there know what forward-swept wings bring in. A lot more maneuverability and ability to be active, aggressive, and take on multiple challenges in the air. And that's the intent that's gone behind the X-47. So, ergonomics for this segment is super important. We have the photograph here that showcases our evaluation on a clay model. This is a 1:1 clay model. So we believe at Ultraviolette, the machine and the man to sync perfectly with each other requires a 1:1 handcrafted sculpting loop to be carried out on the design front before the design freeze stage. Right? So this takes about 6 to 8 months at our end. We get the right ergonomics in place for these categories of motorcycles. If you've experienced the F-77s, you know how well the human and the motorcycle fit together. We've taken that up to another notch with the X47. And I think for a crossover segment, comfort is a very important factor. So the riding triangle, and of course, an upright yet active, capable riding posture is what we've gone for. So from here, the next question was, at the early stages, how do we define the identity of the motorcycle? So for us, when we put all of these thoughts together, the identity had to be futuristic, the identity had to be athletic. I think the future of motorcycling is definitely going in sync with being athletic, where you want machines to be able to cater to multiple varied terrains and use cases, and of course, supremely capable. And on the topic of capability, we're introducing for the first time an entirely casted seat subframe on the motorcycle. So what you see here is not plastic, it's entirely made of casted aluminum. This is with the intent of what you saw earlier, which is loading the motorcycle with a lot of what we want to in terms of accessories or customization. But this demanded a lot of engineering ground up, and I'm not going to get into details here. Vinayak is going to join me sometime and get into all of that. But you can imagine going from we've retained the core of the platform we built, but the chassis and everything else had to be engineered from scratch. So on the topic of personalization, we've got a lot of goodies in store for those that love tinkering around, personalizing the motorcycles. We've got things all the way from hard panniers, soft panniers, aero discs, knuckle guards, auxiliary lamps, and whatnot. So depending on who you are you the urban rider? Are you the crossover personality that likes to do urban plus urban and a lot more? We've got all of these things covered for you on the X47. And this leads me to an important point here with this motorcycle. I think what we've done is spent a lot of time in understanding who we are as motorcyclists, what are the riding conditions that we are going through today, and gotten into a lot of attention to detail with passion. And I'd say, if I had to pick one line to describe this motorcycle, I would say designed my motorcyclists for motorcyclists. Right? And supreme attention to detail has gone in to the materials, the textures, the finishes on the vehicle. Essentially, a naked motorcycle requires your mechanical components to be as in line with the design language as the rest of the motorcycle. And yes, you'll see a lot more of that. You can see the motorcycles up close in a while. So this sort of leads me to the personalities that you saw on stage a few moments back. We've got the X47 laser in red. We've got the X47 airstrike in white, and the shadow, of course, in black. So we've spoken about design and what's gone into understanding the segment, crafting the motorcycle. And one of the most important segments of today's launch event is what we've packaged in terms of technology. So for us, safety has always been of paramount importance. We've been the first electric motorcycle company to launch a product with dual channel ABS. We have been the first electric motorcycle or two-wheeler company to launch traction controls and 4 levels of traction control. And for us now, the question was, how much more can we bridge the gap on safety on two wheels? Right? Could we go close to four-wheelers? So we in fact looked at four-wheelers, and four-wheelers have gone quite a while, quite ahead in terms of the tech enabling safety. And that led us to a very, very important milestone, which is launching radar technology on the X47.
Ultraviolette, we take safety extremely seriously because visibility on the roads is never guaranteed. Lighting changes, terrain shifts, dust and weather, they can reduce your visibility seriously. The environment always finds a way to test you. As a rider, your posture is fixed with both hands on the bar, your eyes forward. And while helmets keep you safe, they also limit your field of view. You lose the edges, you lose your peripheral vision. Meanwhile, the riders around you aren't always paying attention. Drivers are distracted with their phones, riders drift across lanes, overtakes come out of nowhere. The threat is often behind you, where you can't see. So we've been experimenting with advanced technologies to solve some of these difficult problems. And most often we find cutting-edge tech has emerged in the aerospace industry to solve similar problems. One of those is radar technology. Radar tech has been used extensively on aircrafts, especially fighter jets, to give pilots an enhanced spatial awareness, the power to track threats they cannot see. Now we've been building and testing the same technology on our two-wheelers. We know most accidents happen because of limited spatial awareness, especially in areas where you have limited visibility, the sides and the rear. We've built a system to see what you may not. In fact, to give you eyes in the back of your head. Our radars are now mapping the roads behind you, warning you with a quick alert, a flash, without the need to crane your neck. We've seen the benefits of ADAS systems on cars, and we believe it's time to bring them to the world of two-wheelers and make them accessible.
So today, we're introducing UV HyperSense. This is the world's first radar technology available in this segment on motorcycles with the X47 crossover. And I'm going to get into a little detail now with what we're doing here because it's very different from what is available in cars. It's specially made for two-wheelers and it's made for Indian roads as well, right? Now, just to give you some context, I briefly spoke about it in the video, but I want to give you a deeper understanding of what's happening out here. Typically, in cars, you're considered to be much safer, but one of the reasons is because of the higher levels of visibility that is available, right? All around you, even your peripheral vision, you've got a central mirror, which you can, see vehicles approaching from a distance, and you have the freedom and the luxury to move around a little bit, right? But if you compare that to motorcycles, right, your arms on the handlebar, you don't really have that flexibility. Your helmet, while it's providing you safety, it's also limiting your field of view. And while the mirrors are there, you often start to realize that, and especially once you ride the motorcycles with the radar, you'll realize how limited visibility has been on motorcycles with this current setup. So our task in this situation was to sort of go all the way out and see how can we improve spatial awareness. And we've now introduced what we have on this motorcycle, which is a 77 gigahertz rear-facing radar, which has the capability to look at, across a wide field of view and give you a better idea of your spatial awareness all around you. Let's get into some of the details, right? So in terms of capabilities of what this is doing on the vehicle. The first, to begin with, it's got a very wide horizontal radar cone, about 150 degrees, which means it covers all of the blind spots and even beyond that. It's got a 68-degree vertical field of view, So it sort of ensures that you're able to, even on undulating terrain, if you're shifting up and down on the terrain, depending on the type of road and conditions, it's able to cover that as well. We've got up to 200 meters of tracking distance, all the way from 160 to 200 meters. And this, again, becomes very critical. You're talking about long-range radars on motorcycles. And also, another very important and interesting feature that is customized for Indian roads is that we have the ability to adapt to very narrow lanes. So you're talking about, typically in European or other highways, or even in Indian highways, the roads are much wider. But as you come into the city, as you're, going off the national and state highways, they tend to become narrower. So the ability to restrict to a narrow lane becomes very critical. And this is something that we've also built in with the radar technology on these motorcycles. Further, we have the ability today to detect objects, and objects all the way to a 200-meter distance, and classify them, whether they are a threat to your motorcycle or to you, or whether they're more passive that way within your field of view. And we also are able to distinguish between targets in a very crowded space, right? That's what we call target separation. And all of this is available on the motorcycle, while also giving the ability to lean. You have different lean angles, you have a roll, you have your pitch. So the radar technology that we've built today is capable of adapting to all of these different riding conditions. This, again, is a very different feature when you compare it to cars. In cars, you don't have a lean angle coming in, but here you do. And so what all of these capabilities bring in is a whole new set of features that have, very rarely been available on motorcycles, especially in this segment. So let's go through each of those one by one. The first is blind spot detection and lane change assist. So essentially what we're doing here is that we're tracking objects in your blind spots and giving you alerts both on the cluster as well as in your mirrors if they're about to overtake you from the sides. And this becomes a very useful feature because I've actually seen this in action. I've been riding the motorcycles for a bit. And suddenly you start to realize how much more aware you are of your surroundings. That's one of the reasons why we called it HyperSense, because it makes you hyper aware, right? And in cars, you do have a sense of what are the vehicles behind you in some sense, but in motorcycles, you rarely have a sense of what's hovering behind you. And today, we're able to classify and realize where the vehicles are, in which blind spot they are, and in which direction they tend to either overtake or, hover around you. And that becomes very important information. The next becomes lane change assist. So this is where you actively express your intent to change a lane. You're using your indicators to shift lanes, and it gives you a suggestion of whether it's safe or unsafe to make that lane change. And this is again coming in with the radar, tracking multiple objects and determining whether they're a threat to your safety or not. And the last and the most important and my favorite feature with HyperSense is what we call rear collision warnings. Now the reason why this is a really cool feature is because it's not just for the rider, but it's also for the people behind you. So what it's doing is it's detecting objects and determining, is there a difference in speed between your riding and the vehicle behind you? And it's calculating for each of the different objects in different lanes, is there a potential for them to collide with you within the next couple of seconds? And what it does, if it detects that there is a possibility or an interception, which means that you are at risk, it starts to flash the hazard lamps. It starts to warn you as well as the vehicles behind you. Now let's actually see this in action. We've got a small clip to give you that sense as well. So what you're seeing here is a car that is rapidly accelerating and being warned by the vehicle ahead that you're on a path to intercept. So it determines the difference in speeds and starts to warn the riders and the drivers behind. And this is something that is being introduced on a vehicle in this class for the first time today. So the reason we spoke about these 4 features, we have blind spot detection, lane change assist, you have your collision warnings, you have your overtake alerts. What you'll find is that when it comes to two-wheelers, some of the vehicles that have had these features have costed more than 20 or 25 lakhs. And it's really been inaccessible and out of reach to a lot of us. So one of the things that when we started working on the tech, we always kept safety in mind. Narayan was talking about how we were the first to introduce dual channel ABS. And we did that even before the law required us to. right? Today, lots of companies are scrambling to introduce dual channel ABS or even single channel ABS on their vehicles, before the December or January deadline. But we've always had it on the F77s. And we've made an active effort to say, can we really push the limits of what is possible on the bike? And can we really bring in the most advanced technologies? And we thought radar, especially the rear-facing radar, which increases the spatial awareness, is one of those. And we are glad to bring it in at a very accessible price point that we'll talk about a little later. Now let's talk about what goes beyond radars, right? We've gone from radars, now we're going to cameras. So with the X47, we're bringing in integrated camera technology, the first, again, of its kind in an Indian motorcycle in this market. We've got dual cameras, 1080p, front and rear, with a Sony IMX307 sensor, which means you get very high quality recording and information. And this, again, has a very wide field of view, about 120 degrees. And this is both on the front and rear, and you can see how well it's integrated on the motorcycles when you get to see them in person as well. This also comes with a dual display. This gives us the capability to see both the cameras simultaneously, or depending on your requirement, to see the cameras in live view while you're riding the motorcycle as well. Now let's come to some of the other more interesting features that we're bringing with the X47. One of them being Violet AI. We've spoken about this extensively, but just to give you a sense of what this entails, Violet AI is all about the data that is being collected from the vehicle, about 3,000 data points every second, and being used to give very actionable insights to you over and above your riding experience on the motorcycle. So just to give you a glimpse of what that means, all of the motorcycles are fully connected with eSIM cards, they're transferring data, and all that data is being made available to you on your app. And what you see on the app, for example, some of the new capabilities that we brought in is things like, having your lean angles data, especially on the top left that you can see there, right? With Violet AI, we also have a whole new set of, features in terms of movement alerts. If someone's messing around with your bike, you get to know instantly in the parking lot or wherever you parked it. If your vehicle's being towed away, you get a sense of that as well. Now, let's talk a little bit about what the pilot sees. We spoke about the dash cam, we spoke about the second display, but in terms of your primary display, in terms of what is available to you, it's a very different interface from what we have on the F77s today. This is called the UV Vector, and what we've got is a whole set of customizations and capabilities that we've built into the display. And here, we've made it very simple and intuitive to read and to access the information on the motorcycles. So what you see, just to give you an example, what you see is the lean angles, you're seeing your watt hour per kilometers in terms of efficiency. You're getting all of this information in a very quick, accessible manner, and while also being able to control your regenerative braking through the different levels of regen, and all of it available in your cockpit or in your cluster on the X47. Yeah, this is another example of how you're able to see the power being dissipated as well as recovered. When you see the lines, the 4 quadrants, recover energy, you're able to see that as well. Now let's talk about another super critical aspect of the motorcycle, the batteries. You've already seen with the F77s that we've built some very, very cutting edge technology, and today that is also available on the X47. So today we have a 5-level safety system, from a thermal, electrical, electronic, a mechanical, right? All of these coming together, and a software point of view. And all of these are operating in different time scales, and all of these are operating in sync with each other. Just to give you a quick sense of that, right? At a cell level, we're managing thermals both in axial and radial directions, dissipating heat quickly and evenly across the entire battery pack, so there's no single hotspot. From an electrical point of view, we have cell-level fuses, module-level fuses, which ensure that even if there is a crash, in case there's a mishap, the cells and the battery packs are not the ones that will give you a problem. So this is coming to cell-level fuses, pack-level fuses. From an electronic point of view, today we have redundant circuits, especially for our international certifications, that go over and beyond the software systems that are protecting you. Even if the software is not functioning, we have electronic systems to ensure your safety on the BMS. And from a software point of view, the embedded systems controls that we have, what we're doing is at microsecond levels, we're monitoring all of the cell temperatures, the cell voltages, and that's taking control and managing the entire battery pack. And of course, it all comes together in a mechanical enclosure that's super robust with the ability to withstand shock, impact, and any kind of vibration that we see out on the roads today. So all of this comes, as part of the vehicle with all of the different variants on the motorcycle. Now, we've spoken about new kinds of technology in terms of, the radar and the safety, active safety measures. We've spoken about battery safety. I'll now hand it over to Vinayak to talk you through a little more on the rider safety and other aspects on the performance as well.
Clicker. Right. So, in continuation of what Neeraj and Aram are talking about, rider safety as the paramount importance, of course, the X47 comes with 4 levels of traction control, T1, T2, T3, with T1 being the least intrusive and T3 being the most intrusive. And of course, for everyone who wants to live life on the edge, you can turn them off. And it does come with dual channel switchable ABS as standard. To talk more about the region levels, this is a short clip which Neeraj explains of how powerful the
When it comes to
region is.
regenerative braking or kinetic energy recovery system, usually able to recover 5 to 8% of the forward power and use that to charge the batteries. But today on the X47, what we have is 9 levels of regenerative braking, and at the highest level, we're able to recover 25 to 30% of the forward power back to the batteries and to charge them. Now, all of this power that the motorcycle is putting out in a forward direction is being used to quickly fast charge the battery in that instant of time when you're coming to a standstill. Now, let's see that in action. What we have here is the X47, and we're going to enable the lowest level of region with what we call dynamic region, where you can adjust it on the fly with your switch console. We've set it to the lowest level, and what we're going to do is now run the throttle and simulate a coasting to a standstill scenario. So this is the motorcycle coasting to a halt, very similar to, no engine braking whatsoever. Now we're going to set it to level 5, which is your mid-level when it comes to regen. And what you're going to see is regen that simulates engine braking. The moment I let go of the throttle, you started to recover the energy and it's coming back to the battery. Now let's bump it up to the highest level. All that power is being used and then coming back to the batteries to charge the batteries. Let's see that in action once again. That's instant. That's all the energy recovered using your 9-level regenerative braking.
Right. So with all that regen power comes another issue, especially during different braking scenarios. So the X47 is equipped with our patented dynamic stability control system. Now what that does is, especially in a braking scenario where you apply brakes and it locks the wheels, there are two forces trying to basically deal with this. There is the mechanical brake and then there is a regenerative brake. The ABS system essentially unlocks the wheel, but the regenerative braking system continues to slow down. Now, we've built a patented technology that's the first of its kind in the world, where the ABS and the regenerative braking talk to each other, coordinate with each other, ensuring that your motorcycle is of utmost stability and ensuring that you do not have a wheel lockup situation. On the next part, I'd like to present a short clip and where we had the opportunity to give the X47 prototype to one of India's foremost endurance racer, Ashish Raorane. He's been part of several Dakar Rally races. Let's hear what he says.
The future of mobility is going electric, and I'm really happy to be a part of the journey with Ultraviolette's next motorcycle. I first saw this motorcycle at EICMA 2024, and we've been in touch ever since. I've raced across deserts, tried all sorts of different motorcycles, from street bikes to enduros to motocross bikes, but this is something different. As motorcyclists, we are always told about motorcycles belonging to a certain genre. We tend to put motorcycles in boxes. Most of these are age-old concepts, driven mostly by manufacturers. From a motorcyclist point of view, We tend to ride a lot on the streets, be it for commutes that we have to undertake almost 5 days a week. But again, we also need motorcycles that we want to take out on the weekends. All right then, let's go for a spin. Got my hands on the Concept X for the first time today, and we are predominantly running this through the urban jungle that Pune is. Absolutely fantastic roads, as we know. The idea is to have a bike that crosses over from street to soft rails and everything in between, and that pretty much means our regular roads in most of the cities. This is what we are building this bike for. Make that commute easy through potholes and bad roads, or rather non-existent roads. Predictable powertrain that I'm used to from the F47, but in a completely different package. Part of having a reverse mode on this bike.
Right, so now let's talk about, thank you. Let's now talk about what goes behind designing and simulating all of that effect that you get on road, and what goes behind the design and engineering process. Well, it starts with the structure. Now, a structure has to balance three things: the stiffness, the strength, and then the weight. We've essentially done several simulations and a lot of engineering to ensure that the materials and the cross sections and the stiffnesses used on the X47 ensure that they have the highest strength to weight ratio. So today, the X47 uses several advanced composite materials, which, despite the fact that this has a larger suspension, bigger wheels, bigger handlebars, is the lightest that it can be. And all of that is thanks to the several hours of simulation that has gone into ensuring that the most optimistic design has been put into production. It doesn't end at strength. Of course, there's a lot of aerodynamics that we do. Aero, not just around the vehicle, but also inside the vehicle. So here's a clip showing how we've optimized for vents and deflectors to essentially cool critical components like the motor controller, the motor, and the battery pack itself. You can see the airflow going through below the headlamp, through the controllers, and cooling a host of systems which wouldn't be possible without the use of these simulations. The next part is about testing. So this test is done by our testing team, where they put the vehicle through extreme scenarios in three aspects: the performance, the stability, and then the dynamics of the vehicle. Performance to test the acceleration and top speed. The dynamics are here to test essentially on slaloms and wobbles and all sorts of scenarios. How is the vehicle responding to you? And then the stability is when you induce any kind of undulations or input, how stable is the vehicle and how does it recover soon? So this is a clip explaining all three of these scenarios. And believe me, those are some very, very hard maneuvers, and they're very complex, and the testing team showcased it in a very nice way, but it is scary. Right, so moving on. Let's move on to the next important aspect of any electric vehicle, which is charging. At Ultraviolette, we've ensured that we made range anxiety a thing of the past. We introduced the largest battery pack in Asia, offering 323 kilometers of IDC range. We've introduced 2 portable chargers, a standard charger and a boost charger with 1.3 and 3 kilowatt. We've also deployed several UV Supernovas fast DC charging network that's capable of charging up to 12 kilowatt of speed. We've also made UV Link that lets you access more than 4,000 AC car charging networks. Now, with the X, there's more, and I'm here to talk about that. So, with all of the UV squadron going on long rides, and some of them have done some incredible stories and journeys of long distance, one constant feedback that kept coming is that they have to carry a charger with them in order to access some of the car charging stations or any of the charging points. And we felt that what's more inspiring to solving that specific problem. And today, let me introduce to the onboard charger on the X47. And what's more is how convenient can it be that I can wear a cargo pant and carry this to charge wherever, however possible. And all you need is a cable, because the onboard charger sits right inside the chassis, behind the cassette seat frame, so you can imagine the compactness and the size of it. We've had to engineer it to be operating in the highest ambient temperatures of even 55 degrees Celsius on the outside, and despite give you the maximum power without any duration. But wait, I don't think that's, Ultraviolette is just going to be putting an onboard charger and saying that we made an onboard charger. Where is the Ultra and Ultraviolette? So what our engineers did, we made the world's most power-dense air-cooled charger ever, period. I will explain what that means and what that statement and how powerful that is. These are benchmark charger and their volumes as well as weights. So you can see here company A, B, C and their approximate dimensions and weights, and to what watt per kg do they offer. The Ultraviolette OBC is 2 times that specification, which means that you can get a 1.6 kilowatt charger at the size of what other companies offer today as portable chargers inside the bike. This is higher density than some of the world's strongest or most powerful, smallest GAN chargers out there, even in the consumer tech. To be able to do that at 1.6 kilowatt inside a motorcycle, taking care of all of the environmental condition, is a very big deal. And then I take pride in telling that the team has worked really hard to make this happen. Right, so, but it also comes with a lot of other cool stuff. It's the first digitally controlled charger, which also means that in India, you have a lot of issues with power fluctuations, power surges, and you're always susceptible to these issues, which may happen when you've connected your EVs. We've built in all kinds of protection, which can be reset via software, and you don't have to deal with any hardware issues on the vehicle. So be it EMI AMC, be it a high voltage, be it a power surge, everything is protected right from the vehicle, right from this plug, without having you to worry about it. Okay, all right, so now let's go back to performance, and let me talk about the one key aspect which is very signature to X47, which is the torque. Obviously, there's a new torque figure, and let's look at what that means. So 500 is a big number, but we've gone all the way up to 610 Newton meters at the rear wheel of this motorcycle, which is blistering fast. And that results in an acceleration. Obviously, there's an increase in reduction in acceleration time, which comes to let's wait for it. Zero to 60 in 2.7 seconds. And a 0 to 100 in 8.1 seconds. And also a top speed of 145 kilometers per hour. To summarize, we have 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds, 0 to 100 in 8.1 seconds, top speed of 145 kilometers per hour, a power of 40 horsepower, and a wheel torque of 610 Newton meter. These are the performance figures of the X47. Now, to talk to you about the next segment, I call Narayan back on stage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vinayak. All right, so you got a full breakdown of all of the tech, performance, and engineering that's been packed into this vehicle. Truly electrifying. I mean, that's the only ways I could describe it. And now I'm back here to talk about probably one of India's most widely asked questions. Kitna deti hai? Right? So what am I doing here talking about kitna deti hai? Of course, we don't have a fuel tank on the vehicle, but let's keep mileage in perspective. I mean, a lot of us have experienced electric vehicles, but have spent the last couple of decades or more riding IC engine vehicles. Let's talk about the kind of efficiency leap that we're looking at in terms of mileage. So if I have to answer this question, I'm going to talk about an insane figure of a mileage of 300 kilometers per liter. Well, 300 kilometers per liter may sound ridiculous, but it is also true. Because if you think of a liter of petrol, that's 100 rupees. And that 100 rupees on a mid-segment motorcycle, 350cc, touchy topic, I know, is going to take you anywhere from about 25 to 35 kilometers. So let's average that to about 30 kilometers. That same 100 rupees is also going to get you between 10 to 12 units of electricity. And that is over 10 kilowatt hours of capacity on the battery and will take you 300 kilometers. Now, we were thinking about how to contextualize it, and we found some staggering examples. So, putting this in perspective, on an IC vehicle, 1 liter of petrol costing $100 is going to take you from Bangalore airport to Bangalore. Right? And on the other hand, we've got these X47s here with the same 100 rupees. It's going to take you from Bangalore airport all the way to Chennai airport. Yeah, so that is staggering. It is also true. We're talking about efficiency of energy, talking about efficiency of cost. And I mean, ultimately, the way we're talking about a crossover segment is one vehicle, many roads, one crossover. And from here, if we have to talk about what this means to us in terms of I think the most curious question of the night, what it's going to cost all of us, right? So we're talking about this motorcycle coming in loaded with tech and features with an Asia leading range IDC number 323 kilometers. We're talking about power output of 40 HP and a torque, a staggering torque like Vinayak showed us, 600 plus Newton meters at the wheel, and dashcam, radars, onboard chargers, and a warranty extendable up to 800,000, 8 lakh kilometers through 8 years, which I believe as of now is among the world's highest warranty ever provided on an automobile, right? But all this aside, one of the most important points is that the UV HyperSense radar intelligence technology that Neeraj spoke about is going to be standard across every variant of the X47. I mean, this was a call we had to take. We're talking so much about advancements in technology, empowering safety, and we felt we have to lead the industry forward in terms of what safety can really provide. Right? Now, all of this, you're aware of the specs of the F77. We launched the F77 a couple of years back. We today are at between 3 lakhs to 4 lakh rupees on the F77. And today with the X47, I believe we are going to be not just competitive, but at price parity with mid-segment IC engine vehicles. I mean, of course, there's the added aspects of annual savings over time. But yes, that is, of course, a very, very important part of what you're going to experience on an electric machine. But today, when I talk about price parity with IC engine mid-segment motorcycles, the X47 lands at 2,74,000 only. Yes, and we all know GST on motorcycles on the electric side is 5%. On IC engines today, it's between 18 to 40% on some segments. But if you look at the X showroom converting to on-road cost, we are literally price parity with similarly powered IC engine motorcycles. Don't we also need a cool introductory offer? Okay, so the X47 today for the first 1,000 bookings lands at 249,000. So, a lot more tech than any comparable motorcycles out there, and all of it coming together at 249. And I spoke about the benefits of monthly savings. I'm going to give you some context. On an IC engine motorcycle, a lot of us are spending between 3,000 to 5,000 a month on petrol alone. So that petrol savings alone is going to lead to a minimum annual savings of close to 50,000 rupees. So now, what does that bring you? We could unlock a side quest and get into FPV drones and get our own FPVs to try out. That's over 1 year. If you add that over 2 years, we're going to be going to US to watch the FIFA World Cup, right? A round trip covered there. And if we talk about what that means across 3 years, you're walking home with the ultraviolet shockwave. That's how much you've saved in 3 years. Well, and
or you can invest this money in an SIP.
I think that's not the audience here. That's not what we're trying to communicate. But yes, if that is an option and you could get figures of up to 10x, 20x returns over time. But I think we've unlocked something very, very interesting and compelling with the X47. Now for the second most important topic, what about deliveries of the vehicle? And just give me a moment. Are the deliveries late, team? Yeah, we're getting you the data in just a few seconds. Are we good to go? Okay. The deliveries for the X47 begin not in 2026, but in a few days. October 2025. So of course, production has been getting up. We've been stocking up on the vehicles, and we are good to go live, I think, in a few days, and we will get back to you with info on that. And bookings go live at 4 p.m. today. Yeah, so you've got about an hour to figure out your way across the website. Bookings go live at 4 and deliveries in just under a month. So that's it from us. Signing off. Thank you all for joining us here. Oh, but wait, I think we got something else.
Don't get it twisted. This rap is mine. Mother start of game. What you heard is what you hearing. It's what you hearing. Listen. It's what you hearing. Listen. It's what you hearing. Listen. X gon' give it to you. Wait for you to get it on your own. X gon' deliver to you. Knock, knock, open up the door, it's real. With the non-stop pop out from stainless steel. Go hard, getting busy with it. But I got such a good heart that I make a mother wonder if you can. Damn right, and I do it again. Cause I am light, so I got to win. Break bread with the enemy. No matter how many cats I break bread with, I'll break who you sending me. You motherfucker never wanna know what your life saved. That's on a life day, I'm getting down, down. Like it said freeze, but won't be the one ending up on his knees. Please, if the only thing you can't steal came out to play, stay out my way. Mother, first we gonna rock, then we gonna roll, then we let it pop, don't let it go. X gon' give it to ya, he gon' give it to ya. X gon' give it to ya, he gon' give it to ya. First we gonna rock, then we gonna roll, then we let it pop, don't let it go. X gon' give it to ya, he gon' give it to ya. X gon' give it to ya, he gon' give it to ya. He ain't never gave nothing to me, but every time I turn around, cats got their hands out, wanting something from it. I ain't got it, so you can't get it. Let's leave it at that, cause I ain't with it. Hit it with full strength, I'm a jail, so I face the world like a girl in the bullpen. You against me against you. Whatever, whenever you gon' do, I'm a wolf in sheep's clothing. Only that you know who can chill, come back and get the streets open. I've been doing this for 19 years. Wanna fight me, fight these tears. I put in work and it's all for the